metallic sphere, doing some pretty weird aerial maneuvers, and then it just comes down. So the big question, right? Alien tech or just a really, really good hoax?
The skies over Russia are capturing global attention after a UFO actually touched down. And what happened next left witnesses stunned. Footage circulating online shows a craft unlike anything we've ever seen, landing with precision before an unexpected and astonishing event unfolded. UFO enthusiasts and researchers are now monitoring the region as the surge in UFO sightings might be related to this recent crash.
The creatures started coming out. They did not look too much like humans. They were much taller than humans.
Voronezh UFO landing. Russians couldn't believe it when a UFO landed, and this is probably one of the most documented cases of a UFO landing in the country and the world. On the evening of the 27th of September, 1989, a group of children playing in a city park in Voronezh couldn't believe their eyes when they found themselves facing a strange phenomenon. It was a glowing sphere of light, initially pink and then deep red. It descended from the sky, hovered briefly, and then landed on the ground. The children revealed that a hatch opened from the spaceship and 2 or 3 humanoid figures emerged. These beings were unusually tall, about 10 to 13 feet. They had small heads, wearing silvery overalls and bronze boots. One even had 3 eyes and a disc on its chest. It might have been hard to believe this when you saw that children saw the first sighting, but about 40 adults also witnessed the hatch open. With 3-eyed humanoid in silvery overalls, bronze boots, and a chest disc. The being appeared nearly 3 meters tall and had a domed head with 2 white eyes and 1 red eye. To make this UFO landing even more dramatic, the witnesses revealed that one of the beings lifted a tube-like device, what you might call a ray gun in different sci-fi movies, and aimed it at a 16-year-old boy. Before their eyes, the boy disappeared temporarily, only to reappear minutes later after the craft took off and vanished into the sky. The story immediately gathered widespread attention, and it was definitely not a hoax. The location was quickly covered up by scientists and experts from Voronezh Geophysical Laboratory, who were investigating. They found ground disturbances in that region, a circular depression about 20 meters across, and 4 shallow dents. They also found 2 unusual rocks at the landing site. The case quickly became controversial. Officials from within the USSR's emerging UFO research community expressed serious doubts. They questioned the strange descriptions, like the tall, 3-eyed beings, robots, and ray guns, and thought that it was a collective fantasy. Scientists also said that the physical evidence might not be true. Investigations failed to reveal any anomalies in soil, vegetation, or radiation levels that could mean that something strange had landed there. The rocks were also typical minerals, and the method used to confirm the landing site, which is called biolocation, was called a pseudoscientific method. Still, with witnesses and physical evidence present, it's hard not to pay attention to this as proof of a shocking UFO landing. But this was in 1989, so there's no video or picture to provide proof. But over 3 decades after the UFO landing, it happened in Russia again, and this time we have the technology to record it. Barnaul, Russia flying saucer crash. They filmed a UFO landing in Barnaul, Russia, and it might surprise you that this looked exactly like an alien spacecraft that didn't belong in our world. On the morning of February 25th, 2022, a shocking event happened on the snowy outskirts of Barnaul, near the isolated forests. A witness found a mysterious metallic craft, shaped like a classic flying saucer, which seemed to have crashed into the ground. A bystander captured the moment on their phone, and the video immediately blew up the internet. It shows a disc-shaped object lying sideways in the snow, and the stands were partially buried in the white ground. The craft had no visible wings, engines, exhaust pipes, or any other of the features expected from human-made aircrafts. Looking at the footage, the object seems to be made of a dark, unmarked metal. It rests on two slender leg stands and seems like it should have landed standing and not in a crash. The angle at which it struck the snow shows that it might have lost control or had an accident while crashing. The witness circled the saucer, filing it from multiple angles. The video also captured the metal surface, sharp edges, and perfectly circular top. It looked like the classic UFO flying saucer that has haunted UFO watchers for decades. Within hours, the clip had circulated on social media, and UFO enthusiasts began to speculate about what this meant for them. Many suggest that this could be a scout craft, because it was very small and also looked broken. It could be a small reconnaissance probe sent ahead of a larger arrival. Others believe it could be evidence of extraterrestrial visitations, or even a secret advanced aircraft from Earth. The leak of the video led to online activity, with speculation ranging from alien visitation to secret military hardware. But it becomes more suspicious when you think back to 20 years back, when another strange UFO was spotted in the same Barnaul, but this was floating over an airport for about an hour and a half before it finally disappeared. Barnaul Airport UFO. It happened on a winter night in January 2001, when the air crews at Barnaul Airport couldn't dare to fly after they saw a strange glowing object hovering above the runway. It forced the airport to suspend operations for about an hour and a half. When it happened, the crew of a large cargo aircraft backed away from takeoff when they spotted an unidentified luminous object positioned over the end of the runway. Another freighter was going to land in Barnaul, but had to divert to another airfield after seeing the phenomenon. It was a strange object, and no one still knows what was standing over the airport. Witnesses say that the object was motionless and glowing. It remained stationless above the runway for about 90 minutes, after which it simply vanished. What fueled the controversy, despite the vivid visual sightings, was that the official radar logs showed no anomalies. The object was not detected on radar. The event quickly became attractive to many ufologists and scientists, some for and others against. Some tried to explain it as an atmospheric phenomena, misidentified celestial bodies from a planet or star, as many say it might be Venus or optical illusion, but it's hard to believe that this was a natural situation, because the UFO was hovering there for over an hour, and also because the pilots refused to leave. Aviation officials were concerned about the UFO sighting, especially because the sightings in this region might pose a serious hazard to aircraft safety. As dawn broke, the object disappeared as silently as it had come. The runway cleared, and the flights resumed. Till this day, experts have been unable to fully understand the Barnaul Airport UFO because there's no radar trace or physical evidence. Many people saw it, and even planes turned away because of it. But we still don't understand what it is. These UFOs in Russia are becoming more common, like in the US and other states, bringing up the question that there might be a UFO wave happening right now. In fact, just this year, many have seen many strange UFOs, like spherical silver balls spotted in Russia. Spherical silver balls. It seems like the aliens don't want to leave Russia alone, as the country is seeing more UFO sightings. Apart from the UFO landing that was filmed in Russia, according to the NUFORC database, on March 20th, 2025, a witness saw two spherical silver balls flying over central Moscow in clear sky conditions. The sighting has been catalogued as NUFORC_18848. and the witness who saw it realized that the altitude of the lower sphere was relatively low, while the second object appeared higher and seemed like a satellite. The brief encounter lasted only about 10 seconds, during which the objects were illuminated by sunlight and were described simply as smooth silver spheres. To make it even more mysterious, the witness didn't find any wings, lights, or visible propulsion. The objects were just spherical and metallic-looking. Russia seems to be part of the many other countries that are being plagued by UFOs lately. UFO-RC has recorded over 2,000 sightings around the world in the first half of 2025 alone. Many of these reports describe orbs, spheres, or metallic-looking balls. These are shapes that evoke classic UFO descriptions from decades past. That makes the March 20th Moscow sighting a part of the larger pattern. The silver ball shape remains one of the more common UFO sightings, but even if it has been spotted multiple times, we still don't understand what it is. Meanwhile, there was another report filed with NUFORC in Russia, as another person saw a strange UFO white rectangular object. On the evening of February 17, 2025, a resident of Yoshkar-Ola filed a report with NUFORC, describing a strange white rectangular object hovering in the sky about 500 meters away. The witness first spotted the object while at home on the 4th floor, looking out a window around 22:15 local time. He revealed that the object remained stationary for about 4 minutes before quietly moving off toward the east. The reported object was rectangular in shape, colored white, with an estimated length of about 5 meters. The witness said that it appeared at an angle of elevation of around 60 degrees, and its speed when it departed was about 30 to 40 kilometers per hour. This is unusually slow given typical aircraft speeds. Although the sighting was clear and the witness offered a precise description, there was no radar data or independent confirmation. They couldn't find any other witnesses, too, and the only witness didn't take any pictures, so it's hard to verify this UFO. Still, for a report to have been filed, the witness must have seen something shocking that he didn't have time to record. The strangest part of this UFO is the clean geometry. We've seen saucers, strange lights, and fireballs, but we've not seen clean, white rectangles that seem to come from outer space. It hovered silently at low altitude for several minutes. Meanwhile, in the same year, another strange UFO was spotted in Moscow, although scientists have given excuses about what it could be. Green fireball. If you think you've seen all kinds of UFOs, Russians spotted a green fireball recently, and this would leave you shocked. In October 2025, a vivid green fireball streaked across the sky above Moscow, causing many to be astonished as they speculated about what they had just seen. The glowing object, seen in early morning skies over Moscow and surrounding regions such as Vidnoye, Dubna, and Ramenskoye, was racing across the horizon, trailing a luminous emerald-green tail before completely disintegrating. In the footage, you can see a compact, dazzling head, followed by fragmented sparks. This is something that happens when meteoroids move fast, too. Many noticed that the speed, light trail, and breakup behavior looks similar to a bolide, which is a bright meteor that burns up upon entering Earth's atmosphere. Skeptics investigating the UFO said that this is the most plausible explanation, and that if the meteor had metals like nickel or magnesium within the object, could have caused the bright green hue as the object vaporized under intense friction. But of course, some ufologists say that this might not be the case. The green fireball that passed over a major city reignited many conversations and speculative theories. Some wonder whether the object might have been space debris from a defunct satellite or rocket stage re-entering the atmosphere instead of a natural meteor. Others said that it might have an exotic origin. To make it even more suspicious, no one saw where the UFO landed, despite the fact that the fireball moved over the Moscow skies. Did it go back to space, or did it simply disappear? Well, a year before this happened, there was another fireball sighting in Russia, and this time its color was red. Fireball-like object. On the night of July 6, 2024, a resident of Novosibirsk, Russia, was observing from the roof of a private home and saw a bright red object in the sky. It looked like a red fireball. According to the NUFORC, the object first moved slowly in one direction, then suddenly changed its direction, and within seconds it sped up. It moved at a very high speed, with the numbers as high as 3,500 kilometers per hour. The witness described the object as about 5 meters in size, glowing bright red, surrounded by a faint haze or aura. It seemed to be at an elevation of about 50 degrees above the horizon and roughly 150 meters distant at the closest approach. The sudden change in trajectory and rapid acceleration from moderate to extreme velocity was reported as the reason the sighting seemed different from a normal meteor or conventional aircraft. The UFO sighting also stirred a lot of speculation among observers and UFO enthusiasts. Some said it might be an unknown aerial phenomenon, like a craft or atmospheric object that could maneuver better than a plane or meteor, but it was clear that this wasn't a human-made object. With the witness description and videos taken, it was clear that this UFO was not something from this world. But Russia has had a rich history of UFO sightings, with some of the craziest objects that are definitely not from Earth. One of these was the Petrozavodsk phenomenon that scientists still cannot understand today. Petrozavodsk phenomenon. Even back in 1977, they filmed a shocking UFO in Russia. Although it wasn't a real-life spaceship like what we see today, this was one of the most surprising UFO sightings in Russia, and many are still racking their brains to understand it today. On the morning of the 20th of September 1977, thousands of residents across Northern Europe and the Northwest Soviet Union witnessed a shocking spectacle now known as the Petrozavodsk phenomenon. In the city of Petrozavodsk, there was a bright, glowing object which appeared in the pre-dawn sky. People described it as a luminous star that transformed into a jellyfish-like shape, suspended over the city and showering down hundreds of fine, pulsing rays of light. The effect looked like a downpour of light or a surreal rain of beams. Eyewitnesses revealed that the glowing object hovered for some minutes, then changed shape. The jellyfish form gently collapsed into a bright semicircle, before drifting off in the direction of a nearby plan. Some even noticed that the sky glowed long afterward, and the clouds assumed strange colors or formations. This UFO was also spotted in other places, from Scandinavia to the Soviet interior. Whether it was boater crews, port workers, or citizens who were awake at that time, they could all see the strange lights. The widespread sighting triggered concern among Soviet and foreign authorities, especially during the tension of the Cold War. Officials from neighboring countries wrote to the leadership of the Academy of Sciences of the USSR, asking whether this could be a secret weapons test or environmental threat. They created a special commission which compiled eyewitness statements, meteorological data, and whatever physical measurements were possible. Yet the final verdict was sobering. Despite the breadth and consistency of testimony, the phenomenon remained unexplained. The commission concluded that available evidence was insufficient to reach a definitive explanation. One of the most common theories is that the event was tied to the launch of the Soviet satellite Cosmos 955 from the Plesetsk Cosmodrome on that same night. Some scientists said that the rocket exhaust and gas dust trail in the upper atmosphere could have produced the strange luminous display. Even decades later, This is one of the most enigmatic and intriguing events in UFO history. And just a few years after this happened, another UFO crashed into Russia, and this time they found fragments to experiment on. Dalnegorsk UFO Incident. On the night of 29th of January 1986 in Dalnegorsk, a remote mining town in the Soviet Far East, residents watched a glowing red-orange sphere silently crossing the sky before crashing into a nearby hill known as Height 611. Those who saw the object described it as nearly round, glowing like hot metal, flying low and without any sound. Shortly before impact, the sphere began moving erratically. Then, suddenly, it dropped into the mountainside like a stone, and then erupted into flames. In the days following the crash, investigators and local volunteers climbed the hill and found a burned patch of ground, scorched vegetation, and a crater-like impact zone. But shockingly, they didn't find the entire sphere, large wreckage, or plenty of debris. It seemed like someone had taken the entire thing away. Instead, they only found some small, glassy metal fragments, strange mesh-like materials, and bits of silica rock cracked by heat. One of the researchers, Valery Dvuzhilny, described the fragments as having properties that were unlike any known terrestrial alloy. They found amorphous metallic droplets, metal glass composites, and tiny mesh structures. Some of the droplets consisted of alloys containing up to 17 different elements. Aside from the unusual materials, there were other weird findings. The silica rocks had split, the soil had been vitrified, and snow around the impact zone seems to have evaporated, leaving a sharply defined burnt area. Despite all of these, a nearby rhododendron bush was untouched by the fire. But when you combine the eyewitness testimony, physical traces, and strange alloy fragments, this UFO incident is one of the most controversial and studied sightings in Russian history. When they filmed a UFO landing in Russia, many couldn't believe their eyes. This flying saucer looked like nothing they had seen before and reminded many of the Voronezh UFO landing. What do you think the UFO that crashed into Russia is? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. So, thanks for watching this video, and we will see you in the next one.